might have, or is there any questions now that anybody's got?
Yeah, I'm probably down from my look of partnerships and jobs work, but from around the table today, some of the questions, and I think I know you mentioned sort of what some of the challenges you had when you're looking at ROI from data. It's very different than saying, "Oh, it's a bum on a seat." You know, how are you using? You know, what sort of metrics are you using? You know, yourself or the business to justify that sort of.
Yeah. So at the moment we're using more qualitative. So we're getting feedback from our requisition intakes. We developed a feedback form just to ask about the difference it's making. This isn't the only step change that we're making across the talent acquisition function. It's one of about 12. But we're capturing feedback at the moment, and that's the way that we're gathering it. But it's still a question I'm always asking these guys, and I think this is a really good example of the kind of thinking towards how it can be positioned. Still quite qualitative, but yeah, there's a lot more thinking to do around that. I think it's just, you know, I think from a talent acquisition side, what we're trying to use data to do is get in front of those requirements, make sure that we're prepared, so when they do go live, we've got the people quickly. But just telling that story to the business is something that we're going to need to land on quite soon. And I think this is a really great start, the way that it's been kind of positioned here. These three sort of statements at the bottom would outline, to me, some of the kind of benefits from a more quantitative. But measuring is really difficult, and that is still our challenge today, measuring the kind of the output from it.
I mean, what we haven't had yet, I don't think, is the opportunity of a project, have we, like El Segundo, for instance, or whatever, which would have illustrated quite tangibly what the effect of having the data would have been. I think that's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's really difficult. It's telling a story about what. Obviously, you've got the numbers at the end of the exercise for the project, but it's being able to tell the story and figure out the difference between with the data and without the data and what that looks like. So yeah, there's still work to be done on that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So you led a big change in Boeing, right across Boeing. More on a sort of individual, sort of employer basis. How did you implement that change effectively? I know you still work on it, but you know, for example, the US, how did you go about it?
Well, the support from you guys, you know, from Simon has been really involved. We've had that weekly kind of operating rhythm where the new users have come online. We've standardised the way that we're bringing people online, introducing them to the platform, understanding the way that you know, the cycle time in terms of uptake and getting people to engage and actually start using the product. Making sure that we have those frequent tag ups just to kind of give those nudges where people aren't perhaps adopting and actually using the tool, and offer any support as well. So the robustness of the data, I think we did struggle initially to get off the ground, but when our users saw the kind of feedback, the feedback on the forums and verbal feedback through their interviews, they're feeling a lot more valued and they're sort of seeing the benefit now. It was difficult. I obviously used the tool previously and supported initially with just the live, using the tool live during a requisition intake, just to help build that confidence, but the robustness of the data spoke for itself, and that's really helped increase the kind of usage of the tool and with that change management side. But we've still got work to do on that as well, especially with the recruitment advertising team, just to understand how to use the data as well, you know, what to do with it.
Any other questions for anyone?
Can I just go, how do you know how robust the data is? What is it that tells you that it is showing a fair reflection?
That's another really good question. So I think that's based a lot on gut feel. So the hiring managers have an idea in their head of how many people are available within a given market. The TAAs and recruiters understand how difficult it is. I think it's really important to just kind of under-promise and over-deliver when it comes to data. So if your data is inaccurate and is bringing back numbers which are made up using some kind of algorithm to have a clearer representation of what the actual market looks like, that can be quite dangerous. I think with this tool, because it's based on what's visible, it's more realistic as well, so that helps manage the expectations on that side, and just reassures the hiring managers that we're looking at something that can be kind of touched on the outreach side.
I mean, it's worth saying that as people use the tool, if that way we were talking about it earlier about if there are areas where you think there are discrepancies versus what you think is out there, always feed them back. I mean, we have the data. That's not the issue. Often it might be the analysis of the data and the way that's projected that's the issue for us. So if you're seeing, because people will look at Indeed or LinkedIn or other analytics, professional analytics tools that might be out there that look at the market in a slightly different way. Government data, for instance, always come back and we'll check it out and validate it.
But one of the best examples was last week we launched Bulgaria. Experience of Bulgaria. I'm not an expert on Bulgaria. I couldn't tell you what looks right, what looks wrong. So we had the Bulgarian team on, and we've done about 15 different searches, analysed everything, just looked spot on, which made me. They were probably bored because we had them on for about 4 hours. testing. Let's have a look at something else. But it's kind of, we're going, it's getting that feedback is really pivotal for the growth of the product as well. And especially when we're dealing with bigger numbers of people, we need to make sure that what we're delivering is spot on.
Yeah, and I think what's really helped as well, because change management in Boeing is just huge. There's 160,000 people in the organisation, loads in the TA function. So it's just the intuitiveness of the tool. I'm not a data scientist or data analyst by any stretch, but being able to use the tool is really important. There are other tools out there, but in terms of getting that adoption and that entry point into data analytics from a talent perspective, I think it's a really good tool, that intuitiveness and the ability to pick it up really quickly.
Thank you. You okay?
Yeah.
Damon, thanks very much for your time.